Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Within Zionism, here with Ozzy Fine and Moshe Schwartzberg. How are you, Moshe?
Good. How are you, Ozzy?
I'm good. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different episode. Something that we just had to get out, something that is on the news. I'm sure everybody knows about it. George Floyd. So, there's actually two incidents that we're going to be talking about this episode, mainly focusing on one, but we're going to address the other as well. George Floyd and Eyad Halaq. Let's start with George Floyd. George Floyd was arrested for using a fake $20 bill in a supermarket. The police said Floyd physically resisted arrest. Some media organizations commented that a security camera from a nearby business did not show Floyd resisting. The criminal complaint filed later said that based on body camera footage, Floyd repeatedly said he could not breathe while standing outside the police car, resisting getting in the car and intentionally falling down. Then, after the cop placed his knee on Floyd, Floyd said, "I can't breathe," multiple times.
So the USA Today, they quote the Department of Justice in America, and they state that the second the suspect has handcuffs, get him off of his stomach. We're not going to get into the medical side of things, but the whole point of getting them on the floor is only meant to be used when the suspect is resisting and he is in danger to other people, and you just need to quickly get him with the handcuffs on. You're not supposed to keep him there because you could, as we saw with George Floyd, easily do some serious
Right,
damage.
so as we stated before, he was not resisting, so there was no reason to keep him on his stomach, and especially not for the cop to have his knee on his neck.
For the period that it was happened. That was 8 or 9 minutes. It was way too long.
Yeah. Now the second case, Eyad Halaq. This one happened in Israel. According to a statement by the border police on Saturday, 2 officers noticed Halaq carrying a suspicious object that they thought was a gun and ordered him to stop. After he refused, he started fleeing the scene. The officers started chasing him on foot and opened fire and killed him. Now, it's important to understand, the junior officer told the investigators and his commander that they were called onto the area after they were alerted of a terrorist armed with a live weapon on the way to the Lion's Gate. The 2 arrived on the scene and were pointed in the direction of Halaq by the Jerusalem police. The 2 arrived on the scene and were pointed in the direction of Halaq by the Jerusalem district police officers and started the chase. In the course of the chase, the commanding officer shot several times in Halaq's direction and did not hit him. When they arrived at the building where Halaq was hiding, the younger officer opened fire, he said. The suspect claimed, and the suspect being the officer because he's the one who shot, he said that Halaq made a motion that looked like preparation to draw, and I thought he was going to pull a weapon on me. So, as we see here, Moshe, the officer, the younger officer, the one who shot and killed Halaq, actually thought that he was going to shoot him. So he was defending himself. So Moshe, what's your opinion on what he did?
So I'd like to point out, we condemn any type of murder, no matter who the person is. I don't care if their political agenda is completely against me. Murder, for no reason, is not something that should happen. On the other hand, I don't want to say that the police were completely at fault. They were alerted to the scene with the knowledge that there was a terrorist there. They made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but they are not completely at fault.
Right, so I agree. They went to the scene, again, like you said, with the knowledge of there's a terrorist. This man, Halaq, is a terrorist. That's what they were called on for. So whoever called them originally made a false accusation, but the officer who shot, he didn't really have much to do, because if he was told that this man has a gun and then he starts pulling something out of his pocket or whatever, wherever it was, obviously what's going through the soldier's mind at the time is it's the gun that they were talking about, so he went to defend himself. So that's the story of Halaq. We just wanted to address it. Again, we don't agree with any murder of anyone for whatever reason. It's not what the IDF teaches. Now, going back to George Floyd. The U.S. Campaign for Palestinians' Rights, also known as the USCPR, links George Floyd's death to racist training by the Israeli military. An American pro-boycott umbrella group has linked the death of a black man in police custody in Minneapolis to Israel, claiming that the IDF trains U.S. officers in racist tactics. The U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights, or the USCPR, tweeted to its 51,000 followers on Thursday, and I quote, "The Israeli military trains U.S. police in racist and repressive policing tactic, which systematically targets black and brown bodies. It's true that special ops in law enforcement like SWAT do train with Israel, but the average police officer has never received training from Israel. That cop who killed George Floyd was never in contact with the IDF. He himself has never trained with them. There was no way that he could have learned racism from the IDF, and no one in his unit or group did, because those average cops don't train with the IDF."
Yeah, so as we see that the USCPR, they may show some sort of facts. As we saw, the SWAT and other teams like that do train with the Israeli soldiers. But if you look at what actually happens, you see the entire picture, not just what they want to show you. You'll see that Israel has nothing to do with this. There is no connection between the officer in Minneapolis and the Israeli army.
Racism doesn't come from Jews. The cop never trained with the IDF. Racism comes from way back and has nothing to do with Judaism. On August 28th, 1565, St. Augustine, I hope I pronounced that right, Florida, was founded by the Spanish conqueror Don Pedro Menendez de Avilas. I have that written down. Again, I hope I pronounced that right. And he brought 3 enslaved Africans with him. During the 16th and the 17th centuries, St. Augustine was the hub of the trade in enslaved people in Spanish colonial Florida, and was the first permanent settlement in what would become the United States to include enslaved Africans. So we see here that racism was not originated by Jews. It has nothing to do with Judaism.
The Jewish culture as a whole is very racially diverse. Yes, we've got the white European Ashkenaz that come from Poland, that come from Germany, come from Russia. But we've also got people that come from Yemen, people come from all over the Middle East. We have Ethiopians who are black. We have African Americans who converted. You can't say that Jews are systematically racist. America, that's a different story for a different podcast, not here. But they have a bit of a systematic problem they're policing.
We're not getting into that.
Yeah. But the Jews as a people, we're so racially diverse, it doesn't make sense that as a system we would be racist to our own people, even though we are a family, and we've mentioned this before, we'll mention it again. Jews are a people, we're a family. We can't really do all those small fights of racism within each other.
Right, so I'm going to speak for myself, and I think I could speak for Jews as a whole, but I'm not going to, because yes, there are racist Jews. There are racist people in any belief system, any religion, any group, anywhere you go. There are racist people everywhere, but it did not originate from Jews.
Jews are not racist as a system. Blaming anything that happens in the world on Jews just because they're Jews, I feel like that's racist.
Anti-Semitic groups are just out to get the Jews and will use anything they find. They don't look at the whole picture on things. They right away assume the worst and spread fake news, rumors, and hatred. So that's the message we wanted to send out today, just quickly. While it's heated, while things are on the news, while things are out there, we want it to be heard, and we thought we could maybe have an impact, hopefully, and get people to realize, fact check before you do or decide anything. All these anti-Semitic groups who are posting all this nonsense, whether they fact check or not, they're wrong. They're not wrong in a way of their facts are wrong, because they do have a lot of facts that are correct, but they use it in a way to put it in the wrong message, to put it towards hatred towards the Jews. That's the problem with anti-Semitism. We're not here right now talking about racism exactly, because that's not what our podcast is. Our podcast is Zionism and Judaism and Israel. So we're here defending Israel and the Jews on this. And it's not fair that the Jews are being blamed for racism, because one thing just has nothing to do with the other. Moshe, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that's basically it. I just want to wrap up today's episode. Don't worry, we will get back to our normal posting schedule. We've got an amazing episode for this Sunday. This is just a quick, not too long, just letting you know what's happening out there and bringing the truth. Once again, as I say always, let us know what you think in the comments. Tweet at us. Let us know over Instagram. We've already had a whole nice conversation in the YouTube comments for episode 4. Please let us know what you think. And that's about it. Stay safe, guys.